Hi everyone, I am Danielle from We Need Diverse Books, and I'm here with Tashie Bhuiyan, the author of A Show for Two and Counting Down with You.
Nice to meet everyone. Hi, welcome to the interview.
Well, Tashie, could you please just give us a little pitch for A Show for Two?
Yeah, so A Show for Two is about this actually like the first time I'm like talking about it out loud in like an interview.
Oh,
So if
really?
there's like a few bumps along the way, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
But it's about a girl. Wow, I should have refined this before I did this. Okay. It's about a girl who's in high school, a 17-year-old girl who's aspiring to be a screenwriter. And she's the co-president of her film club. And she's trying to win this film competition. And basically, everybody who's won the film competition before her has had a celebrity cameo. And she's like, we don't have a celebrity. And what do you know? A few weeks later, a celebrity enrolls in her high school undercover as practice for his next role. And it's inspired by when Tom Holland went undercover at my high school during my senior year, which was wild. But yeah, so that's a show for two.
Yeah. And could you please just I don't know, explain more about what that was like having Tom Holland come to your high school? That's so not normal.
Honestly, I did not know for a long time because like he was undercover. So like I
All
didn't
year.
know. Yeah. Like I didn't
Wow.
know it wasn't all year. It wasn't that long.
Okay.
It was like a very brief period of time. Like he wasn't there for that long.
Okay.
Like Emmett is there for like a hot minute in this book, but Tom Holland was not there for that long. But so none of us really knew until like the very end when like we were like, we're pretty like we think that might be Tom Holland, but no one really knew who Tom Holland was either because like like Spider-Man hadn't happened yet. So like we didn't know who this guy was. Like he was kind of like a little and like he'd been in stuff, but like not stuff like that, I guess like a
Oh, like
mainstream
nothing
teenager
big.
would have watched. Yeah. So we were
Wow.
like, we don't know who this white boy is. So there, that's the problem. So we were all like, how do we like who the heck? And he had been assigned like a student to like follow around who was this guy, Arun. I don't know if I should name drop Arun, but I already did. So whatever. But so he was following like this guy Arun around like to his classes, whatever. So like he kind of knew where to go, whatever. And Arun is like this Indian kid, right? And like he was saying that he was related to Arun, and obviously Tom Holland does not look remotely Indian in
Not
this title.
really. Maybe
Um,
stepbrother, step. Yeah.
but Arun had a twin sister, so like we knew like, and his twin sister also went to our high school, so we were like,
The math isn't mathing.
right. We were like, ah. So I think that's when it started. And like in my high school, it's like a special high school. I don't want to every time Tom Holland describes it in an interview, he calls it like a school for like geniuses, but I'm kind of stupid. So
No. Take
but
the
like
compliment. Take the compliment.
it's like a specialized high school. And to get in, like you have to like take an exam in seventh grade to get into the
Wow.
high school, right? Like
Wow.
you have to get accepted by eighth grade and like you can't get in otherwise. Like you can't like transfer to our
Wow.
school. Like it's
That's
not, it was like
interesting.
not, yeah, like it's like not a thing, right? So we were like, who is this random kid that showed up in February? Like that's literally impossible. And it was
Right.
year too. So it was like really impossible. So everyone was like, nothing about this makes any sense. So I think that's why people were at first like, what is going on? Like this is weird as hell. And then I heard that somebody had been in like the bathrooms with him and been like, bro, are you Tom Holland? And he was like, no, bro, that's not me. Like that's not me, whatever, right? And apparently the print like pulled up like his Instagram and was like, you literally look exactly like, and he was like, that's not me. Like that's so crazy. That's not me. But by the next
Wow.
day, we all heard that Tom Holland was going to our school. So we were like, okay.
Wow. Did you guys did anyone treat him differently, or were you just told to just study, keep your
I mean,
eyes this
I
way?
think once people found out, he was like, I will be leaving. Goodbye. I'm
Oh,
out.
no. Oh, no.
And I respect that.
But it looks like you got to take a picture with him and talk to him a little bit
Yeah.
before you left.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
love that for me.
that's good. But your love interest, Emmett, he's he's actually not really like Tom
Yeah,
Holland.
he's not
He's
like Tom Holland at all. He's
and
literally
he
probably as far from Tom Holland as you can probably get, to be honest.
was
Like
that
Tom Holland is
purposeful?
like, yeah, Tom Holland is like a cinnamon roll, like so sweet, like so whole. Emmett literally is so like he's so I don't even know, like he's a menace. He's a menace to society, is what he is. Like he's really like super flirty, but also like if you're on his wrong side, he's really, really like arrogant and
Yeah.
like like it's like he's very, very different from Tom Holland. But I'd like to think they'd be friends. Like,
Yeah.
like I feel like there's a little bestieism going on there.
I just love that one line. It's like Mina is angry at him for some reason, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so mad I could stab you right now," and he's like, "Ooh, kinky."
Yeah, yeah,
That
literally.
was like my favorite
He's
thing.
like, what's wrong with you? Like,
But yeah, I really loved his character. I really loved the banter between him and Mina. And I just wanted to know what it was like to write a love interest like him and what it was like to like write their romance and everything, because I'm always trying to get better at writing romance.
yeah, so I wrote Emma and Mina to have like a hate to love kind of dynamic. And it was actually so fun because like they're so like they will give it as good as they can take. Like, like they don't hold back punches in the beginning, really. Like they're literally like, you want to fight me? We can fight. Like, let's fight. But so since they both really dislike each other in the beginning, like they're throwing insults, whatever. And then like Mina, especially because we're in Mina's POV, she like can't stop calling him like a dickhead. Like that's like constantly she's like, this guy's a dickhead. Like he's the worst. He's awful. Like he sucks. But then like as you kind of progress through the book, like the more she calls him dickhead, the more it kind of sounds like, oh, he's a dickhead. Like
It becomes like a stand-in for I love you. You're a
right.
dickhead.
Like, exasperated, like, oh, he's a dickhead. You know how he is, like. But so it was really, really fun. Writing their romance was also really fun. I think like finding ways that like even though they both can be kind of prickly, actually I've seen a lot of people call Emmett and Mina sunshine and grump, where Mina
Yes,
is grump.
exactly.
And I think that's so funny because I didn't go in with that intention, but I love that trope. And like once people start saying it, I was like, oh my God, wait, yeah, no, for sure. Like that is very, very accurate. But so I definitely like writing because like he warms up to her a lot faster than she warms up to him. So he starts
Absolutely.
like flirting with her and like being like annoying. And she's like, I literally want you dead. Like, please stop talking to me. Like, why are you in my face right now? Oh my God. Um, but so writing that was also really fun. And like I wanted them to have like similar kind of struggles though. Like even though they were kind of like outwardly prickly like that, like inside, like they had a lot of similar like struggles and like feelings and emotions and like not necessarily interest, but passions and like determination and like wanting things. Like they had the same kind of desires in life, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so like once they found that out, I think they really kind of were able to connect with one another and kind of be like, I see you and you see me. And like, even though we got off like on the wrong foot, like clearly there's a part of each other that we understand that no one else has before. And it's so nice to feel seen like that and to feel understood like that. And like, I'm sure it doesn't help that they're both hot. So
It helps a little. Yeah, no, I love that. And I think it is important to like find that kind of common ground with your love interests to make sure that they click. And it's like, it's you, like you're the only one they could have
right,
been
like
with.
it could only have ever been you. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I also just loved all of the all of the relationships in the book. Was this your first time also writing a side ship? Because you did
Yeah,
gosh, yes,
yeah.
Sophia
Yeah.
and Rosie, they were so cute.
Oh my God,
What was it
yes.
like doing that?
It was honestly like it was really fun. I'm like sapphic myself, so it was kind of fun
Yeah.
to like write that in a. I'm not really ready to write as a main ship yet, but it was nice to be able to do it as a side ship and like kind of also like have fun with like a little like I feel like with me in my like sapphic romances and stuff like that, like it's so easy to get flustered and be like, oh my god, like she looked at me, like how do I like I don't know how to breathe around her, like oh my god, I have to die. She wants to talk to me. Like it's also like dramatic and like big and like ah! So like it was really fun to kind of write that with them. And also like the whole thing where it's like, does she want to be my friend? Does she like me? Like I really can't tell. Like I just don't know. Like what does it all mean? Like that kind of thing also as well. Like it was really fun. And just like their characters are both like very like fun and like dynamic. And so that was fun to write for me.
Yeah, I really love them. I think it like translated well on the page, like how much fun you were having with them. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think all the readers will love that. And I also wanted to say, I think you wrote the sister relationship really well. Like their text conversations were exactly like what me and my sister like text each other. So I'm like, this
I'm
is
so
so
glad. I don't
relatable.
yeah, I don't have a sister.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I only have a brother, but I have a lot of cousins who I'm like really close to like that. So I think that really aided me with the sister relationship, but I've always wanted a sister. So I feel like
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of that also bled into the page. But I feel like just being Gen Z helped with like a lot of like the conversations they were all
Yeah.
having with one another. So like they were like being cat, and I was like, yeah, I text my friends like this, I text my cousins like this, I even text my brother like that a little bit. So I'm like, all right, like it's fine.
Exactly. Texting with sisters, it's like light bullying and some
Yeah,
endearments.
that
Exactly.
sounds about right.
But yeah, and I also wanted to talk about the depression representation. Like I felt like in Counting Down with You, I really enjoyed how you talked about anxiety in that one, and this one kind of more focused on depression. I just wanted to know like what was it like writing that for you, and why did you think it was important to include?
Yeah. So in Carrying On With You, there was anxiety representation. And so I have both anxiety and depression. So I didn't get to really focus on depression within Carrying On With You because Karina was very, very anxious about so many things. So that was kind of like took up more space in the story than like maybe her depression would have. Even so, like with Mina, I kind of wanted to focus on that aspect more. And it was really like cathartic, I think, to kind of talk about like what it's like when you're depressed in a household where you can't really do anything about it, and like you just kind of have to find your own coping mechanisms. And like yeah, your friends know, like you tell them that you're like yeah, like I had depression. Honestly, I feel like most teenagers are very open about that nowadays. Like it's kind of like yeah, like we're all mentally ill, like it's fine.
It's
um
fine.
like it is what it is. But so like with Nina, like she kind of has to figure out how to cope with it by herself. And for her, what she kind of does is really like not necessarily hyper fixate, but kind of that kind of idea where she's just like, I need to focus on one thing. Like that's the only way I can get through the day. Like I can't wake up in the morning if I don't have something to keep reaching for, something to keep like going for. Otherwise, like, why am I even here? Like, what's the point? Like, because she isn't really happy a lot of the time. She's really tired. It's not necessarily sadness either, right? Like, it's just like you're really tired. You don't really have a lot of motivation. You don't have like things like that you love don't necessarily bring you joy the same way like that they used to, like stuff like that, where like she kind of needs like goals to kind of like fixate on and be like, I need to get here. That's the only way I can think about surviving right now, because in
Mhm.
the environment that she's in, it's really toxic for her, and she like doesn't really know how to make it a safe place other than just focusing on herself. So with me, I kind of wanted to explore that, like how really it's like a fight for survival in a lot of ways. And it's not necessarily like a physical fight, like, like it's something really internalized where you're just kind of like, I need to get through day to day. Like, that's all I can do right now. I can't even think about anything outside of that. Like, day to day, I just got to do what I got to do. And sometimes that can lead you to neglect other things in your life. Like, it can lead you to neglect like relationships and like other things, like like so with Mina, she kind of struggles with finding that balance between like, this is the only way for me to get through the day every day and like move forward, and also realizing that like other people around her are kind of affected by how she's coping with these things, and that there are better coping mechanisms that may not, affect the other people around her as severely. And like, she like also I think like she needs to open up little more and figure out like she is kind of trying to deal with it by herself and not put that weight on really anyone else, right? Like she just kind of was like, like that's my burden to deal with. And opening up, I think, allows her to kind of realize that she doesn't have to really fight this just by herself. Like there are people who are there who love her and want to support her if she kind of just gives them the opportunity and explains like why she's doing the things she's doing and all of that. But so it was really important to me to kind of write that as like a teenager who really was struggling with depression when I was like 16, 17, and like still as a 23-year-old am like struggling with depression, and but just have like better coping mechanisms. I can go to therapy and like take medication and stuff like that. But Mina doesn't really have that yet. And most teenagers really struggle with like, especially in like immigrant households, struggle with like kind of telling their parents or talking to them about that, especially like if their family is not as supportive as they kind of want them to be. So I thought it was important to kind of put that on the page and just like let people who like have the same, not necessarily the same, but similar experiences kind of see themselves and like find that there's like hope at the end of the day. Because I think at the end of the day, this book is really like about hope and like persevering and like knowing that one day it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I was really feeling that, like those themes of like following your dreams. And like, I felt like Mina just had this really unwavering belief in herself that she was going to make it, that she was going to be something, that she was going to get into USC. And I feel like you have that too, like at least in the podcasts and videos that I've seen of you, you seem to like just have this like really hardcore determination to get published, like when you were in college. And I thought that's really inspiring. Um, but yeah, do you feel like you put like a lot of yourself into your characters in that way? Because yeah.
I think like a lot of like the core of who my characters are kind of reflect who I was when I was younger. Cause like I'm writing for the younger version of myself, and the people who like who like haven't gotten to see characters in that situation, like stuff like that. So I think it does reflect a bunch of parts of me. But then I'm also like, Mina is nothing like me whatsoever. Like, like Mina's so like aggressive, right? And it's like not in like she's never like mean to people who it's uncalled for. Like, like every situation where she's kind of being like a little like, usually the person has brought it upon themselves. Like that's kind of on them. But like she's a lot like that. Like she's not really like super charismatic or anything like that. Whereas I do think like in social situations I do a lot better than she does in terms of that. And she's also like kind of, when she's like in her like single-minded state, like she really struggles to like process other things, which is a little less like me as well. Like, but so like I definitely see parts of myself in her and in all of my characters. Like I see parts of myself in Emmett as well, and like all of that. But like at the end of the day, like I want my characters to feel like honest and real and authentic. And I think the only way to kind of do that is to like put parts of yourself in them, but like obviously don't self-insert. Like, but like, like yeah. So I do think like there's definitely parts of myself in Mina. There's parts of myself in Karina from Counting Down with You. There's parts of myself in like every character I kind of write, because I feel like that's the only way to kind of make sure the readers really feel seen as much as they do.
Vulnerability is just really relatable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it was harder to write? Was it harder to write Mina versus Karina, or were they kind of like equally? I don't know. How was it
Um,
like writing one versus the other?
so Karina's probably even less like me than
Okay.
Mina is. Karina's very shy, very like introverted. I'm also an introvert, but not like that. She's
Yeah.
very introverted. She like struggles to stand up for herself and that kind of stuff. And she also has like a relationship with her parents where, unlike Mina, she's kind of at the stage of like still wanting acceptance like very intensely, like wanting them to be proud of you, wanting things to be like okay. Whereas Mina's kind of more resigned. Like Mina still wants it to a degree as well. She's kind of like, you know, like, I wish things were better. Like, I wish I could have had this. But she's also kind of like made her like peace with like, I don't know if I ever will. Like, you know, like she doesn't necessarily, she's like accepted that her dreams are more important than whatever it is that her parents want from her, which is not what Karina necessarily has done. So I think that in that regard, it was like easier to kind of write Karina and Kai Now With You, just because like I think I'm closer to where Mina is in that relationship. But it was also like every time I have to write like a scene with like the family situation, I think it's just like very like difficult to kind of find a way to like put that into words where it's like that like push and pull of kind of like you like it's like you wish that you were enough, you know, like you wish that you could have been the person that they wanted you to be, but you also know that there's no way you could ever be that person. Like you have to kind of be yourself. And so with Mina, like it was a lot harder to kind of be like a little honest about that, I think. Cause like with Karina, I feel like it was more like, you know, like she kind of gets like a more happier ending with that situation than Mina does.
Right.
But Mina still gets her happy ending. This is still a contemporary romance. Like she still gets a happy
Still,
ending. It's
yes.
just not necessarily every single like loose end is tied up the same way. But so I think that was like a little harder for Mina.
I really did enjoy how you portrayed like Mina's relationship with her parents because it was a difficult one. And I think that is like a theme in your books, like kind of trying to find yourself and be yourself, but also having these struggles with like wanting to be what your parents want you to be, or just wanting to just um, not impress them, but like I guess live up to their
Yeah.
expectations of you.
Because like I think a lot of time in immigrant households, like you feel like you owe them something
Right.
because they've sacrificed so much to get you here to like a westernized country and like get you this education, this lifestyle, like all of these things is only possible because of everything they've sacrificed. But it's like, at what point do you recognize that you don't owe them for that? Like, you know, that's not your responsibility to pay them back for that. Like that was their choice and you didn't ask them to do it, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I love that like that line near the beginning of the story. It kind of like explained Mina's entire like dynamic with her family, like going through the portraits. Like we at 8, I was smiling, and then at like 13, like I was just kind of stoic. And then by 16, I was just like still like not even looking. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think like for Mina, that realization like really came in comparison like Karina from China, it came a lot earlier
Right.
where Mina realized like she is not this person. And no matter what she does, she can't be that person. And she just like it's like for her especially like I think like she's also like my sister is in the same situation because her sister is
Mm.
younger than her, so she also feels like a lot of pressure to be like I need to like look out for my sister and make sure she survives this better than I survived this.
Like be an
And like
example.
right. Whereas with Karina and kind of with you, her younger sibling is the brother who like kind of lives up to everything that their parents do want. And like it's always like easier, I think, in like a lot of immigrant households when the sibling is a brother, because like there's just like sexism, favoritism. It is what it is, like whatever. But with Mia specifically, she has a younger sister. So she's like, you're living the same kind of experience as I am. And Anam, I think because her sister is named Anam, Anam has like a very different experience from Mina, I think, because Anam is so much angrier than Mina is. Mina's like a lot more tired, like just exhausted, like doesn't want to deal with this anymore. Whereas like Anam is angrier. And I think a lot of the reason Anam can be angry is because of Mina. Like because Mina has already gone through so much of this and like carried a big like portion of the weight, Anam has the like strength to be angry, if that makes sense. And I think Mina's
Mhm.
also really aware of that and doesn't ever want that to go away for Anam. Like she wants Anam to keep having like a life where she can be angry about these things, and it doesn't like exhaust her to the point of like feeling like nothing, like, you know. So I think that was like another part of like how Mina's kind of trying to like be the eldest daughter and just like kind of, you know, like get through the day and like just make everyone around her feel okay.
She has a lot of roles like
Yeah,
in this book. Yeah. Being daughter, sister, like club leader. I was about
president.
to say like
Yeah,
club captain. Yeah. So yeah. And she is kind of like a big sister to like the younger people in her club too, which I thought was really cool to see.
yeah.
Um,
They're like, okay, mom, like, all right, mom, like whatever, mom.
so cute. This is your second book, and it was the first book you were on contract for, right?
Yeah.
So how was it like writing like your second book? I know that's like kind of hard for some people to be on deadline for the first time.
So for me, I went pretty fast. So what I did was my book was due. Wow, I can't math right now. My book was
That's
due
okay.
in 2020 in on November 1st, I think. So for July NaNoWriMo, I sat down and I was like, let me write a first draft. Like, you know, like let me just try to get the story down. So I started writing it during July NaNoWriMo, and I had been talking to my friend Lynn, and she is just like very motivating, I guess you could say. She's like a very motivational person. And
You
she
seem to
said
have really good friends, by the way. They seem to be like really encouraging. So
yeah,
that's
all
really
my friends are really great. It's like my little found family. Like I love them. They're great.
cool.
Um, but so Lynn had said something to me, and I don't remember what exactly it had been, but I was like, I could write 5,000 words a day. Like I could do that. And then Lynn was like, wait, no, you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to do that. And I was like, Lynn, I can do that. I can do that, Lynn. Like I can do that. And so halfway through NaNoWriMo, I was like, okay, all right. So I just started writing 5,000 words a day. So then like I finished the book in 3 weeks, like the first draft. I wrote it in like 3 weeks. And I was like, that was a little like, that was a little much of me, but it was like fine. So I had finished the first draft, but then when I like reread it, like there were obviously like no first draft is ever perfect. But it was a very clean first draft because I think like I learned a lot from writing Counting Down with You and editing Counting Down with You. Cause by that point, Counting Down with You was already out. No, it was not. Math? No, it was not. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. That was like a year before Counting Down with You came out. Jesus Christ. But I'd already finished the editorial process for Counting Down with You. There we go. I'd already finished the editorial process. So like I knew like what Counting Down with You kind of looked like at the end of its journey, like what the physical book. Um, so like I feel like I had become like a better writer through that process of like learning how to make my book stronger and all of that. And I just think like every book you write, you always just get stronger because you've learned so much from the last book. So it was like a very clean draft. So I had then like I made like a few like changes here and there, and then I sent it off. The reason I had written it so early in comparison to like November is because I wanted to send it to my agent first, because I was like, I want a little validation first, you know, like I also like, cause it's like your first book on deadline, right? Like I was like, if this is like a disaster, I'd rather have my agent tell me before I send it to my editor and she reads it and she's like, Tashie. And so I like kind of gave myself like a little leeway that way, but my agent also loved it. So it was like fine.
Would you
But
say your agent is like an editorial agent?
no, my agent's not a super editorial agent. She will like point things out, like if like there's like things that are like this isn't making sense or that's not working or like whatever. She'll definitely tell me stuff like that, but she's not like big picture like editorial. She's never like rewrite this entire like, you know, she's never like that. I love my agent so much. My agent is, let me plug her. My agent is JL Sturmer at Next Level Lit. She's fantastic. Would die for her. Incredible, outstanding. But yeah, she's not super editorial. So, but I knew that if I sent it to her and it was like bad, she would have told me. Like, you know, like she would have been like, Tashie, like, bestie, like I don't know about that.
Good to have those people who will be honest with you.
Right, right. But thankfully she was just like, she was, I think like the thing is once you're further into that stage of publishing, your agent well, at least my agent is kind of like like she understands that it's the editor's job to really like get into the nitty gritty and like be like, this is like not working, whatever, whatever. So if my agent, like, even if she might see like a problem that's like fixable, she's like, well, the editor can fix that. It's not something that's so off-putting that she's like, you can't send this to the editor. Like, it's the editor's job to edit your books at the end of the day, right? So
Right.
I think like she kind of recognized that. And like as I've grown as a writer, I think I've also recognized that, where I'm like, if I like write a draft and I'm like confident in it myself for the most part, I'm like, okay, like I don't need like a lot of critique partners at this point in my publishing journey. Not that I don't need any, because like I don't want to get that, like hubris is not, but I've gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I can send this to like a friend or two. If they're like fine with it, then I'll send it to my agent. She's fine with it, then it goes to my editor. Like, like, but I feel like when I was a newer writer, I kind of felt like, oh my God, I have to send this to like 20 people, and like they might all have 20 different opinions, and I kind of need to listen to them all. But now I'm like, my editor's job is to edit it. Like, and I feel like knowing that really helps a lot with like not doubting yourself, I guess, because you're like, no matter what, they're going to be edits, right? Like, even if you listen to 20 people talk about like your book, like it's not like you're going to go to your editor and she's going to be like, it's perfect, don't worry about it. Like, like it's
Right.
like the editor is not even just there to like fix the problems, right? They're also there to make it better. So it could be good as it is, but your editor could be like, this is how we can make it great. Like, this is how we can make it even better. So like, regardless, you will be editing the book. So I think going in with that mentality, I'm like, okay, like I know I'll have to change it to some degree, even if it's like not a lot, but some degree I will have to change it. So I might as well let my editor do the job that they're paid to do.
Right. That's
But yeah, it
awesome.
wasn't super hard for me to write the second book.
Yeah, that's great. I'm just like jealous of how fast you write.
I think I
I
write
need that energy.
contemporary the fastest, to be honest. Like like other genres take a little longer, but I think contemporary is very like, for me, I think it's just like very easy to get that voice down. Just like being like someone who is, like I said before, like Gen Z. Like I think I'm like, okay, like
You're
this is like
closer
writing
to
like a
it.
friend's voice. Like, like I feel like Mina and Karina are like my friends. I'm like, okay, like I know how you guys talk. I know how you guys think. Like I know what you guys are doing. Like, like so I think like that makes it like a little easier for me.
Do you think you'll ever write a fantasy story in the
I would
future?
love to write a
Yeah.
fantasy story. If
Slash,
publishing,
have you already written fantasy?
I
Because I
have,
heard you did fan
I have,
fiction.
yeah, I have drafts of things,
Okay. Okay.
but
Exciting.
who knows what will happen. But yeah, I would love to like venture into different genres and publish different genres. I think that's really exciting, and if publishing wants to let me do it, I will do it.
Yeah, I hope we can see a fantasy story from you in the future. I know we'd
I
all
know
love that.
that like no matter what I write, the same themes are gonna kind of carry over. So I'm sure like you like whoever picks it up will be able to pick it up and be like, oh, this is a Tashi Bhuiyan
This is a
book.
Tashie
It's a
book.
Tashi book. Like, oh, okay.
What like tropes or themes are you interested in exploring in the future?
I really, really want to write the soulmate trope. Oh my
Oh,
God. Like I want to write it so bad.
yeah.
Um, because I think it's a really difficult trope to pull off. Because the reason I've always liked it so much is because of fan fiction, right? Like I've read so many fanfics with the soulmate trope, which is easy to do. Because, like, for example, like if there's a Mina and Emmett soulmate AU, right? Like we've already read a show for two. So we already like Mina and Emmett as a romantic couple. So when we see them as a soulmate trope, we're like, oh, this is so exciting, whatever, right? But if Mina and Emmett start off this book and we know that they're soulmates, it kind of depletes a lot of the tension, right? So like I think that's why it's like hard to pull off a soulmate book if you don't like go in with like strategy and technique and like this is how like so I really want to challenge myself to like do that, because I think like it's just so fun, right? And like to find out, like I think especially if like the character does come from like a background where like they don't really have the best relationship with other people in their lives, whatever, then to find out that this person like is fated for you and meant for you, and like I feel like that's like very like, oh, like like it wasn't me that was the problem, like it was never my fault that all of this happened. So I really, really, really want to write it. I haven't written it yet, so I think it'll be a really fun challenge to do one day. But in general, I really want to like put out. So I really like enemies to lovers, obviously. This is more like hate
Me
to love
too.
because Ina and Emmett aren't really trying to kill each other. Even if they say they want to kill each other, they're not really trying to kill each other. But I really want to write an enemies to lovers where like they for real want to
Like murder.
right, like they want to pummel, you know. So I really want to write that. I think that'd be really fun to like take them from that point of like severity to the like wanting to kill each other to like willing to die for each other. Like, you know, like I really want to like I like really intense relationships like that. Like I think that's really fun. I really love a found family trope if you could not tell
Yeah.
already. But I would love to write like an ensemble cast because I haven't gotten a chance to do that. Like not necessarily multiple POVs because I don't know if I could do that yet, but I want to one day maybe. But I
It's
want to write
really
like an
hard.
ensemble cast where it's like there's like different characters that are all part of like a specific found family. Like it's not just like Mina has her friends, Karina has her friends, like that's one thing, but like an ensemble cast I think would be so fun to write. Like little like Six of Crows type thing, but like again, not
Yeah.
multiple POVs because I can't do that yet.
You will though. You will. You can do it one day.
Yeah, I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah. And also, selfishly, I just wanted to ask you about, I know you were in author mentor match back in the day. I just wanted to know what your experience was because I'm in AMM round 9 as a mentee. So I just wanted to just know what that was like. And if you have any advice for people who are wanting to submit in the future and or who just want to go for like any kind of pitch contest. Yeah.
Who are your mentors?
My mentor is Meredith Tate.
Oh, she's so lovely.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Love that for you.
Yeah.
So with author mentor match, I think one of the things I really liked about author mentor match is that there's no specific like deadlines or like you know like with Pitch Wars, which I've also been a mentor for. Um, it's like you have like a hard deadline for the showcase, which can be beneficial in its own way. But I like that with author mentor match, it's like a little more loosey goosey. Like you can kind of go at your own pace. I also think like author mentor match has like a lot less of a mentees group. Like there are fewer mentees than with other pitch, other
Contests,
mentorships.
mentorships, yes.
Yeah, other mentorships. So it's really easy to kind of find other people who are like in the same spot as you, like other mentees, and like make friends with them. I remember for my round, we made a group chat with like all of us, and this group chat is still active like to this day. Like people are talking in it right now. Like, and I feel like finding those kind of relationships has been really pivotal to like my writing career and like because before I had been an author mentor match, I was kind of like, you know, like getting along, like writing my silly little books. But there's like a difference, I think, between writing your books and like writing for yourself and like writing kind of knowing that there will be an audience and like in author mentor match, like having people who are aspiring for the same exact thing as I am. Like they also want to get published. Like having them read my works was kind of like a whole different thing from like having like your best friend read your book. Like, you know, like obviously your best friend will kind of read them and like I'm sure like depending who your friend is, like will be able to tell you like, you know, like this wasn't right or that wasn't right. But like having someone who like is more editorially focused be like, oh, like I think you could do this and do that, whatever. It was really, really cool to kind of see and whatever. And I feel like author mentor match really allows you to grow those connections just among the mentees, not to mention your actual mentor who's kind of there to like show you the ropes and like teach you things. And like my mentor, her name was Christine Colella. She's great. She's lovely. She was so helpful. I remember I literally did not know what story beats were. And I was like, Christine, like, can you please like
Help
what is
me.
and she literally like drew me up like a graph. Like she literally hand
Oh
wrote it
my
out and she was
gosh.
like, this is how story beats work. And I was like, wow, like I like what?
The more you
Um,
know.
but I think it's really cool to be able to go to someone and just like ask them questions and you don't feel like you're being like annoying or like this is what they signed up for, right? Like they wanted to be like a mentor. So being able to go to someone with like any question you have about like the publishing journey, I think is really, really nice and like comforting. And like I'm like the type of person who like needs to know everything all the time because I'm a Virgo. So I think that's part of it.
Same.
Oh my god,
Oh my
but so I'm like, I need to know the entire, like, I need to know every variable all the time, right? So like having someone that you could be like, well, what are all the variables, and them being able to tell you is so nice, and like so like, you know, like fulfilling in that, like you're like, okay, well now I know every variable thanks to this person, and I don't have to stress as much. I mean, you're gonna stress regardless, right? But like I don't have to stress as much now that I kind of know all the aspects. Like, there's no unknowns, I guess, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I feel like that aspect of author mentor match is really helpful. I think like the advice I would kind of give if you're already in one is like not to be afraid to ask your mentor like as many questions as you want. Like they really did, like they signed up for this, they want to help you. Like they wouldn't be in this program if they weren't like open to like helping you in every possible way. So I would definitely ask as many questions as you want to ask, and like even if it's like if it seems kind of stupid, like me being like what are story beats and Christine's still telling me, like, you know, like it's really helpful in all those regards. But for someone who hasn't applied yet or is thinking about applying or like is aspiring, like thinking about that, I would definitely say like first of all, do it. Like there's really nothing to lose. Like yeah, you might get like a pass or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily even mean that your story was bad. Like there's only so many mentors, and like there's like one of the things that I was told, I remember about like not even just like mentors, but like agents, editors, etc., is that whoever chooses your book, it has to kind of be their favorite book. Like, you know, like because they have to be willing to read it 3, 4, 5, like however many times to work on it, right? So like they could read a book and like it, like they could be like, this is a good book, I enjoyed that, that was fun, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's their favorite book in the world that they're willing to like reread over and over and over. And that says nothing about us as writers, right? And I feel like that has been like really comforting to me, knowing that like they could like my book, like they could have even loved my book, it just maybe wasn't their favorite book in the world. And like thinking about like myself, I'm like, I only have so many books that I would reread over and over and over, you know, like even if I enjoyed the book just fine. So I think that is really comforting to know. But yeah, for aspiring writers, my other big advice is to like not necessarily fixate on one story. Like if you finish one story, you've been working on it and like you have made it as strong as you possibly can on your own, like write another one. Like while you pass the time, like write another one. You have no idea, like that one could end up being like the one that actually works out, and like you might eventually get to publish the first one later, like, you know, like, so I think like keep working on new things. Like that's like a really big aspect I think of publishing, is just like you have so many ideas in you, like why just sit there and do nothing, like, you know, like I feel like that's how a lot of times like you end up in a situation where you're like, I've been working on this for 10 years and I just don't know. And it's like, that's like rough, right? Like it's like really hard
Yeah.
when you like have been working on something for 10 years and you're not getting the results you want. So I feel like in that regard, like you can obviously always keep persevering on one project, but in your like side time, like why not write another one? Like, you know, like I said, you have so many stories inside you. So
Yeah, that's excellent advice. Awesome. So I think I just want to end this with asking just a few fun questions.
yes, for sure.
But yeah, do you what are your favorite like romantic movies, or who are your favorite like romance authors?
Oh my God, that's such a good question.
There's so many. So many
I
good ones.
know. Okay, wait. Do I have to say? Because like a lot of times I like a ship, but I don't necessarily like the media.
We can say that separately. Like who's your favorite OTP
Okay.
separately?
Okay. I think one of my favorite romantic movies is Set It Up on Netflix. I
Oh, that's
really
so
like
fun.
that. It's so fun. I like the little rivals, but then like barely, like, you know, and then they're
Yeah,
like forced to work together, like forced proximity, like, and just like growing on one another. I think that's so fun.
so fun.
Tangled,
Oh, you did
obviously.
name drop that in your book.
Yes, I did. It's also name dropped like in my author bio. I love Tangled so much. I love their romance. I love her specific journey. So good, so fun.
Classic.
10 out of 10. Um, okay, book romances. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I really love the Hidden Legacy series by Alona Andrews. I think it's published by maybe Avon. It's like HarperCollins, I think.
Okay.
But it's like a romance imprint. But it's like a romance fantasy, which is
Ooh.
so cool to me. Like it's adult romance fantasy, I think. I think that's the genre. But it's so good. Like I've recently tried to pick up like specific romance books only, like like lately, and I really, really enjoyed their romance and their journey and like the main character and her family. Like it was a very, very enjoyable romantic story. Book, trying to think like YA specific that I really, really like. Oh, let me name drop my roommate. I love These Violent
Sure.
Delights by Chloe Gong.
Oh,
10 out of
yes.
10. Would recommend. Roma and Juliet outsold 10 out of 10. So I love that. There we go.
Awesome. And who is your favorite OTP? And that's favorite couple for those who don't know.
Okay, so I have so many. Right? So it's like how do you begin to choose like
You
what
can
your
do,
favorite
what
like
are your top three? Can you do top three?
okay. Okay. I'm gonna try. I'm like throwing shit up on my Google, like what okay. Okay. I really, really like Zuko and Katara.
Oh my gosh. Zutara.
I really, really like Zuko and Katara.
Yes.
Love little sun moon, like
They're like enemies to lovers too.
exactly fire, water,
Yes.
blue,
Oh,
red, like good
they
concept.
should have been like canon.
I
Oh,
know.
so
We were
disappointing.
robbed. We were robbed.
We were. Maybe in the
I
new remake.
I mean, um, I really, really like from this is so ridiculous. From Miraculous Ladybug, Marinette, and Chat Noir.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I've only
Like
seen a few episodes, but they're cute.
specifically Marinette and Chat Noir. Like not like the other versions of them. Like specifically Marinette as a civilian and Chat Noir as a superhero. Like specifically that pairing.
Yes.
And I'm a really big Klaus and Caroline fan from the Vampire Diaries.
Oh yeah, they're all enemies to lovers. I
Okay,
love
Cat
it.
Noir and Chat Noir and Marinette aren't enemies to lovers, so I think that's okay. So I have a little leeway in there. It's
Okay,
a
okay.
little dislike, but that's okay. Like it's not really
Still
enemy.
counts.
Right. But I do love a good enemies to lovers. Um,
And you name dropped a few different fandoms in your books, like some K-pop things. You dropped some Taylor Swift things. Just like,
yeah, I did. Yeah.
what are your favorite music groups or like
Oh my god. Okay.
fandoms and all
I
that?
recently really, really got into Stray Kids and I'm obsessed with Stray Kids. They're so talented, they're so good. I actually changed the line in a show for two during the last, like very last edits, like where like you're not supposed to really change anything. I was like, can you change this and like add like a Stray Kids song in? And they were
Oh
like,
my gosh.
okay, I guess. So there will be a Stray Kids cameo in a show for two now. But I
Oh my
really,
gosh.
really
I love it.
like love Stray Kids now. They're chef's kiss.
Do you have a
Um,
bias? A Stray Kids bias?
yeah, I really, really love Hunjin and Felix, which I feel like they're very popular. So it sounds like I'm just being like really predictable, but I really, really love them. I don't know.
I
I don't
believe
know.
it. I believe you.
I just don't know. But so I really like them. I like all of the groups that Anam, because Anam is a really big K-pop stan in a show for two. All of the groups that she kind of like name drops, like I enjoy all of them. Like I think they're all great music. I think K-pop in general is like really, really cool. But there's a
Me
lot
too.
of like you said Taylor Swift references in this book because Cornelia Street is truly actually I have this right here. My friends made this where it's like
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my gosh.
Art of Mina and Emmett, but when you scan the Spotify code, it goes to Cornelia Street.
That's so cute.
That's
Oh my gosh,
so
I didn't know
cool.
that. That's so cool that that works like that. Whoa.
Yeah, it's so cool. I literally they did it for my birthday, I think, and like here, like let me see if I can scan this right now so I can show you. Because like you know how like Spotify has like the little camera,
Yeah. Oh my
and then when you like
gosh.
scan it,
Oh. Oh. That is so
So
cool.
cool. It's so
Oh
cool.
my God.
And then like they did the specific time, like 1:10 on purpose.
Oh,
Hold on, let me see. I don't exactly remember what it is now. Hold on, not this one. That line like makes so much
it
sense
does.
for
Oh,
Emmett. But yeah, so there's a bunch of Taylor Swift references. I love Taylor Swift's music, so good. I like love name dropping like music and stuff like that. I did it in Kind Down with You as well. Like Ace has like a whole playlist for Karina, and I'm just like, you know what? Like, let me shout out like the things that I enjoy. Like, and
yeah.
Nina especially like is really obviously into films and movies. So I got to name drop a lot of movies and stuff in this book as well, which was
Yes.
really really cool and felt like a very like specific like Mina thing to do. So that was really fun. Obviously had to name drop like all my faves like Inception, Tangled, etc., etc. So that
Yeah.
was really cool. But I feel like I'm like just so like multi fandom. Like I'm like I love that, this, like like I'm like I love everything. Like
Yeah.
literally.
That's awesome. That means you can make friends with everybody. Like no fan
Exactly,
wars. Yes.
exactly.
That's awesome.
Plotting and scheming.
Yes. Oh. And also, if you could go to high school with any celebrity and know it was them, who would it be?
Okay,
And just one.
okay. And so like they'd be in my grade, like they'd be my age.
Yes.
It's like humiliating because it's like it's basically like who would I want to date is what I'm trying to think. Like like
It's like Felix.
I was just about to say at this, my answer I think is Felix from
Yeah.
humiliating, absolutely humiliating
Oh
on my
my,
part. It's fine.
no, I love it. I feel like
Yeah.
he'd be so friendly too, just wanting to be
He's
friends with like the whole
he's such a
class.
ray of sunshine. Oh my god, he's a ray of 100%. I feel like even if like we didn't date, um, he would definitely be like someone that you'd be best friends with. Like he's so friendly and
Exactly.
so kind and open. And also, I didn't know Stray Kids then, but he has blonde hair. So this is the Tashie and Felix agenda
Real
now.
life Felix right there. I love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for speaking with me. It was so
Yeah, this was
fun.
so fun. This was so fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah. And everyone go out and buy A Show for Two. It's amazing. You'll be really happy after reading it. And thank you.
Thank you.